Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. You've probably heard the news by now. The Biden agenda, the entire Build Back Better plan has been sabotaged by Joe Manchin. It is dead in the water. In fact, let's take a look at this interesting animated image where President Biden, as much as he's smiling, has been flattened, if you will, by the one and only conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. He has completely stalled the Biden agenda. In fact, Joe Manchin specifically said this on Fox News. This is a no on this legislation. And he said he will not vote for the Build Back Better bill. And folks, this means it's game over for the Build Back Better agenda. Let's roll the tape and see what Joe Manchin said. Ironically, on Fox News of all places. Remember, he's supposed to be a Democrat, but here we go. This is what Joe Manchin said on Fox News in the past 48 hours. Let's roll the tape and watch.
Now, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Good to be with you, Brett.
Senator, you're at the center of this negotiation with the president over his social spending and tax bill, the Build Back Better bill that is not coming up in the Senate before the new year, in part largely because of your reservations. Without you, the leadership doesn't have the votes it needs. So today, right now, what's the state of play?
Well, Brett, this is a mammoth piece of legislation, and I had my reservations from the beginning when I heard about it 5.5 months ago, and I've been working diligently every day and every minute of every day. I've been working on this, meeting with, whether it be the President Biden, whether it be Majority Leader Schumer and his staff, whether it would be with Nancy Pelosi, all of my colleagues, from all different spectrums of the political spectrum, if you will, from the right to the left. I've done everything humanly possible. And my concerns I had, and I still have these concerns, and where I'm at right now, the inflation that I was concerned about, it's not transitory, it's real, it's harming every West Virginian. It's making it almost difficult for them to continue to go to their jobs, the cost of gasoline, the cost of groceries, the cost of utility bills, all of these things are hitting in every aspect of their life. And you start looking at, then you have the debt that we're carrying at $29 trillion. You have also the geopolitical unrest that we have. You have the COVID variant, and that is wreaking havoc again. People are concerned. I've been with my family. I know everyone's concerned. So when you have these things coming at you the way they are right now, I've always said this, Brett, if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
Yes, folks, Joe Manchin has indeed sabotaged the Build Back Better agenda. In fact, he said, I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. And he said that it was a no. He said, I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there. Folks, this is crucial. This is absolutely critical. Let's take a look at this segment one more time. In fact, this important piece of this segment where Joe Manchin essentially sabotages Build Back Better. Let's roll the tape and watch.
I've always said this, Brett. If I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no on this legislation. I have tried everything I know to do. And the president has worked diligently. He's been wonderful to work with. He knows I've had concerns and the problems I've had.
And while we're on the subject of Joe Manchin, here's new reporting from Politico, and you'll find the link to this resource in the description section below. Manchin told Democrats, redo the whole thing, and maybe I'll vote for it. He wants the Democrats to draft a new bill that goes through Senate committees, does not go through reconciliation, and focuses on rolling back the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Here's what Manchin said on West Virginia Metro News. His first response to all the blowback from Bernie Sanders and AOC and all other Democrats. I knew what they could and could not do. They just never realized it because they figure, surely to God we can move one person. Surely we can badger and beat one person up. He added, well, guess what? I'm from West Virginia. I'm not from where they're from, where they can just beat the living crap out of people and think they'll be submissive. Wow. He's talking about his own party, folks. Pretty incredible. He also said this, I won't continue to go down everything you want to do, major policy changes and reconciliation. It needs to go through a process. And folks, this is pretty incredible because Joe Manchin is directly at odds with his party. In the meantime, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, said this, we are going to vote on a revised version of the House-passed Build Back Better Act, and we will keep voting on it until we get something done. So you can start to see, folks, Joe Manchin is at odds with his entire party. Think about that for a second. Joe Manchin actually cast doubt on President Biden's statement that the two could continue negotiating, and he said he knew we couldn't get there. And he said this about President Biden. Manchin also said this: I just got to the wit's end and they know the real reason what happened. They won't tell you and I'm not going to tell you. It's not the president, it's the staff. They drove some things and they put some things out that were absolutely inexcusable. Folks, this is incredible, and this is the feeling from Joe Manchin. Yep, that was Joe Manchin, folks. In the meantime, you can imagine that Democrats are going to be upset. In fact, Bernie Sanders hits back at Senator Joe Manchin over the Build Back Better agenda. He said this, I quote, I hope that we will bring a strong bill to the floor of the Senate and let Mr. Manchin explain to the people of West Virginia why he doesn't have the guts to stand up to powerful special interests. Let's roll the tape and watch what Bernie Sanders said.
We have no Republicans, not one Republican in the United States Senate or the House for that matter, is prepared to stand up to the drug companies or the insurance companies or the wealthy. I would hope we would have had 50 Democrats. But if that is the case, then I hope that we will bring a strong bill to the floor of the Senate as soon as we can and let Mr. Manchin explain to the people of West Virginia why he doesn't have the guts to stand up to powerful special interests.
Now, as you can imagine, Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat from New York, is also very upset. She said this in an interview on MSNBC. What we really need to do is crack down on the Senate, which operates like an old boys club that has a couple of gals in it. Let's roll the tape and see what AOC had to say. Let's watch.
I mean, it is unconscionable the way that the Senate operates. It's fundamentally undemocratic, and now what it's doing is that it is allowing the stripping of people's voting rights across the country. We're in a crisis. 19 states have passed over 33 laws to limit or restrict the right to vote in the United States of America. We are beyond the time for something to pass. And my concern is that even Manchin's compromise, or the fact that he was making statements just this past week that he was just having conversations with the parliamentarian about voting rights that were illuminating. How has this not happened all year long? And so what we really need to do is crack down on the Senate, which operates like an old boys club that has a couple of gals in it that have managed to break through. And we need to actually we actually need to implement some institutional discipline.
Here's another segment with Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about the opposition from Joe Manchin on the Build Back Better plan. The idea that Joe Manchin says he can't explain this back home to his people is a farce. I represent just as many or more people than Joe Manchin does. Let's roll the tape and see what AOC had to say.
It is extremely difficult to hold together a House majority. And, you know, especially with the razor thin margin that we have around this agenda. So the idea that Joe Manchin says he can't explain this back home to his people is a farce. I mean, it's a farce in terms of, you know, plain democracy, because I represent more or just as many or more people than Joe Manchin does.
And finally, AOC also said this. She said Manchin's opposition is an outcome that we warned about, and Democrats have every right to be furious with Joe Manchin. She said, I quote, it's really about time that we take the kid gloves off and we start using them to govern for working families in this country. Let's roll the tape and watch.
Well, I think what Senator Manchin did yesterday represents such an egregious breach of the trust of the president. And it's also, you know, this is exactly why it's an outcome that we had warned about well over a month ago, about needing to plan a contingency plan for it. It's why we insisted on having the bipartisan infrastructure plan coupled and passed together with the Build Back Better Act. But I think right now we are at a juncture where it's not really about, I think, being angry. I mean, of course, we have every right to be furious with Joe Manchin, but it's really up to leadership in the Democratic Party who, you know, made the decision to get us to this juncture and how we're going to move forward. And I think right now that Democratic leadership has a very large number of tools at their disposal, the president particularly, and it's really about time that, you know, we take the kid gloves off and we start using them to govern for working families in this country.
So that's where things stand, everyone. Joe Manchin sabotages the Build Back Better agenda, and some really strong comments from Bernie Sanders and AOC in response. In the meantime, I can tell you that President Joe Biden is left scratching his head trying to make something happen. But I can tell you that without Joe Manchin's vote, the Build Back agenda is dead in the water. Remember, the Democrats need all 50 senators to vote for the Build Back Better plan, and then they need the tie-breaking vote from Vice President Kamala Harris, but that's not going to happen if Joe Manchin is not on board. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. I appreciate you. It takes a lot of time and effort to create these videos on our channel, and I would appreciate you taking a moment of your time to please click like, to click subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.